to hear the vote.
Absolutely. Well, that's such
Oh,
special time.
God, yes.
He's less hooked on it.
For all that talking you're going to do?
It's fun. I don't do that.
Okay, welcome everyone. Joint meeting between the RDC and council. Brittany, can we get a roll call?
Councilperson Tony Abbott,
Absent.
Councilperson Justin Noppert,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilperson Tommy Roulette,
Present.
Councilperson Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Councilperson Brett Von Durant,
Yes, ma'am.
City Attorney Del Weldon,
Here.
Mayor Kelly Milan,
Here.
and for redevelopment, we have Director Brian Messmore,
Present.
President Richard Richardson,
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer, Member Janie Wilson,
Not here.
Member Brian Johnson,
Present.
and Lawrenceburg School Board Member Aaron Shepard.
Not here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Today's meeting is to give everyone an update on the status of the Liberty Theater project. So Brian, I'll let you
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
tell us where we're going.
So just, oh, there you guys are. Good deal. All right, real quick, just so everybody knows, we do have Maxwell Construction and the drawing department here. They're our team in the Liberty Theater project. Who all we got here with you guys? Jeff, Seth, Kendall,
Bill Hoffman.
Bill, Ryan, Ron,
Hey, happy birthday.
Kevin. Pardon me?
This is the Maxwell team, and this is the
Yeah,
architects.
yeah,
We work closer together than it's just
yeah,
They hate each other.
yeah, yeah. We're,
I know some of the faces here, but just making sure.
Yeah, yes, sir. All right. So again, thank you for being here, both council and redevelopment. As we remember, this was a joint project started back, I believe, probably early in 2020, if not sooner, but started getting some meat on it in 2021. But we're here today to review the status of the Liberty Theater project. And I'm going to try to cover like 3 pieces of information along those lines: the design, the schedule, and a budget. Desired outcomes is I want council and redevelopment, city leaders, community, the team that's in here today, I want you to leave with confidence in this project and the project team that's been put together. I think you'll find that evident in our discussion. And I want you to be excited about the product and the impact that this product can have on our community. So design, if you take a look at the handout, I'm going to pop through this quickly and allow for questions at the end. But if the first page you have on top is the basement of the Liberty Theater, and I'm just going to point out some of the major components of this level. You see on the right side is the green room, mechanical room, laundry. The green room is designed to enhance the attraction of music and artists and things like that. The other side is a lot of in the basement, the food prep, dishes, laundry, things like that to support the upstairs function and critical to the operational capacity of the building. And again, you can ask some questions about these things as we move forward. If you take to the next page, this is the main floor. You can see an example of some seating for an event. You see where the restaurant and bar is located on the front side, and obviously the stage is on the back side. Note there's a theater bar as well. And again, I don't know that we get into a lot more detail at this time, but I think you get the gist of the project at this level. And then if you look at the third piece, this is the mezzanine, which you can see the additional seating, the egress. And then on the far left, you see, if you all recall, there's an upstairs there, which will come in handy for weddings and wedding parties and things like that to get ready, and some additional event space for smaller private events and things like that. So that's where we're at in design. We are in the construction document phase. I think I said that clearly. This was the design development phase. From that point forward, we began on construction documents. I think we're hoping to have them in review by May And yeah, working hard.
Kevin, what?
Yeah. And hopefully out in June and back in July was our, I believe I'm correct on those days. And obviously, it's built in 1893. We're in the detail phase. There are things and items that come up that require lots of coordination between our team members. And I've been a party to that, and these guys work really well together. So that's where we're at. So that covered number 2 on the agenda. Now number 3, the budget portion. So I'll begin by saying, as we discussed when we started this project, we assumed that it would be very likely to exceed the budget number that we had, and it has. I will also tell you that the Redevelopment Commission does have redevelopment funds to assist in covering the gap. I will also tell you that we do not have actual numbers. We have design, drawing, stage numbers, which are estimates, and once we go out for bid, we will get after review, we'll get our guaranteed maximum price.
Can you back up just a minute?
Yeah.
Your first part of that, you saying you had some numbers.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
And during the question and answer phase.
They match
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome. No worries. So going through this process, obviously, when it came in at the number it did, and we'll talk about that number, we started looking at creating alternates. And it became very evident that we were sacrificing quite a bit of creative and operational space. And that's why I think it's important to have this conversation at this time and to know that the Redevelopment Commission considers this a vitally important project to our downtown, and we're committed to getting this project done. My closing statement on this is the Liberty can be a regional treasure, just like the projects you all have done and are continuing to do as we move forward. So with that, we will take questions. And I know what the first one is. Tommy, do you want to ask it?
Well, and I did want to add just to what Brian said, and Brittany's here, and even Brian doesn't know this because I did some extra work after I met with Brian today, but one of the things that is unusual about Lawrenceburg is that most redevelopment commissions, just to let you guys know, in Indiana are just autonomous. They're the executive branch, the mayor, appoints. You've seen the appointment structure, but they derive money from TIF. Even Greendale's a good comp, but Greendale's more of a traditional, where they have their piggy bank, and they kind of do whatever they want, and they don't really, they don't care what city council thinks, but we don't do things that way, and I think to the benefit of the community, because you guys are the elected officials, and so we never want to just have appointed officials making decisions. We want elected officials who are accountable to the voters, direct line to the voters, doing things jointly. But kind of one of the things Brian was talking about, which I was interested to learn, and Brittany's here and she can add to it, is there is money that is specific to redevelopment. So every year it's about $1 million that redevelopment gets from the event center. There are some other funds that are kind of related. And then there's another inflow of TIF dollars, which again, TIF is how most redevelopment commissions are funded, except for our redevelopment commission agreed to, and I think obviously to really great effect, say, okay, we're gonna, instead of us getting the TIF money, we're gonna use the TIF money to pay a bond and use the bond to pay for the park. So all the money that redevelopment normally get in TIF goes out, right back out the door to pay for the TIF bonds. There are some things that we've been doing that Mr. Messmore has done already with TIF, and all of you guys have done with Mr. Messmore with TIF to improve that number. There are things specific to this project that we can do with TIF, and I had the opportunity today to talk to the county because right now we're in a deficit with our bonds versus our TIF income. We actually owe more on our bonds than we're bringing in on TIF, which it used to be we would make double. I think that one year we had double what our TIF, or we had $750 come in for TIF, and I think $450 is what we pay each year on our bonds. And now it's like $450 we pay on our bonds, we get in $350. So I talked to the county. They've gone through, and the event center is one of them, with these big properties. There's an assessment, challenges made, but that's not the final answer. So that big reduction you guys have seen in TIF is being worked on, and we'll all work on that together. I talked to the county attorney today and said, look, we want to have a voice in that process, and make sure that everyone's just assessed fairly, because it directly impacts our TIF. So I think what Brian was talking about with money that redevelopment has, there is money that's specific to redevelopment, but again, the way we do it in Lawrenceburg is you guys do the budget, you guys do the appropriation. So, but even though it's money that redevelopment would have, you guys still have the final say, which is how it should be.
Next question.
I didn't even get mine answered.
Okay.
Okay, I want to go from the beginning with the lease agreement, okay? Reading in the lease agreement on page 2, you said that you got in there not to exceed $2,497,641. This project, correct? Is that
That's
what-
correct.
Am I reading that right? Okay. That being said, redevelopment's already bought the building. So
That's correct.
out of the equation, correct?
That's correct.
Did we not get a $600,000
That's correct.
grant?
Yeah.
And the city of Lawrenceburg budgeted last year?
$2 million.
So you're at 2.6 for this project?
You're exactly right.
Okay. So,
So, again, the design development estimate on the high side is $4.5 million.
okay.
And we just had a structural piece and additional structure was determined to be required during the construction drawing phase, and there was another element, but so the high side was that. Once we made some decisions to see what we could improve upon in the design, that got us down to about 3.8. Again, these are estimates, including contingencies, probably conservative. So the bottom line is, we kind of all knew it was going to be more, and until we get the construction, the bid documents out and the numbers back, we don't know exactly what that number's going to be. But it's going to be somewhere between probably 3.7 and 4.5, hopefully closer to 4, hopefully. So that gives you a general gap number that we're looking at. And, as I said earlier, one of the, the difference between the low and the high and the sacrifice to the creative and operational spaces is, I think, critical to making this project successful and the building structurally sound for the next 100 years.
Do these drawings reflect the high range, or is this the?
That's the high range.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put the X's. I can tell you some of the things, we cut out the mezzanine in the green room and all those kinds of things, but all those things affect the creative and the operational capacity of the operations. And some of these guys can tell you more or get more specific on those things. But in a very general sense, that's where we're at. In a very true sense, redevelopment, and we have already partnered on this project, redevelopment is in a position, obviously we have limits, but to consider minimizing, removing things from the project that are probably critical to keeping that project at the level that we would want to see in our community. So again, today the purpose was to get you guys updated.
Well, let me throw
Yeah.
this out there. Mezzanine can be added later. Correct or not correct?
Well, it can.
Yes, it can, yes.
Okay. If it's taken out of the project right now, how much money does that?
North of $250,000.
That's it?
Yeah, thank you.
278.
What about the idea of moving the utilities to the alley?
We figured, and correct me, help me here, we think we figured the savings by moving it and all the costs associated with that would be less than $50,000 savings.
So where's the savings?
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, the only way to save money is to cut the creative spaces and the operational capacity. And you know, if they take out the balcony, we lose 88 seats, and the ability to have, you know, private functions and different kinds of, you know, a larger wedding party, places to have Sunday brunch, perhaps. You know, I mean, it's a fantastic project. I want you to be excited about it. Yeah, it's money. It's real money. And it's not easy. It's not easy, but we're real close. And, you know, if you start cutting out some of those elements, and, you know, we may have to cut out the green room, but when it all comes back, you may have to. You know, there may be a couple things that there's just no way we can do. But at this stage, you know, we can hope for good numbers, great drawings, design, you know.
Lots of bidders.
Huh?
Lots of bidders.
And lots of bidders, yeah. So, I mean, I just, this is good. This is a cool project. I mean, it can be fantastic. You know, opening night, lights flashing across the front. I know I'm selling this thing now, but I'm serious. I mean, it can be the neatest thing that we can be involved in. I mean, we're doing lots of good stuff, but it can be really cool.
And one of the things that Brian has kind of talked to you guys about, I'm sure, and the way he explained it to me to help everyone understand is, look, it's the structural that's driving the cost, and the only way to offset that is to cut the creative, which we don't want to cut the creative because then that makes us less likely to succeed. And I can tell you, Mayor and Brian and I went up and looked at the Woodward Theater, and you know, Dan told us stories about he's in there painting on opening night. Weeks, you know, it's open for weeks, and they're having painting parties. So, you know, Dan's a guy who we love being partners with because he'll be in there doing the actual work and is committed, and so that's a big part of it. You know, that's why Brian's so passionate today. You know, in January, I think there's $4.5 million in the NR redevelopment fund, Brittany? Right now. So if we do nothing, then in January there'll be 5.5, a little bit more than 5, maybe 5.75. There's a little bit left, but let's say 5.5.
Not where that
Yeah.
The 1 million. So we have 1 million.
The 1 million Hollywood left.
And so, I mean, what Brian's kind of asking you for is permission to use that, and on behalf of the redevelopment commission's permission to use that money, and then maybe if Brian, you know, in March of next year, Brian comes back and wants a Ferris wheel, then you say, remember, you spent all your money, you know. But I think he's so passionate about this that he wants to dedicate everything that he can
Whoa.
to this project.
Well, we can't cut the first one.
We'll do it.
You had to bring that up, didn't you, Mr. Wilton?
I did. And then the other thing I can tell you is that, you know, we've been doing things like we're negotiating with U.S. Bank headquarters in Minnesota to try to get permission to use part of the parking lot to move the transformer. And we just had a ton of stuff. As soon as we got in there, we found environmental things that need to be remediated. And like Brian said, we expected that, but this is why we're having, you know, the discussion now, because things we hoped wouldn't be there, but knew probably were.
May I point something out? Something I'm really excited about this is truly.
If you will.
Oh, yeah.
That way everybody can hear you.
Makes sense, Lenny.
Thank you.
This is truly smart historic preservation. So it's not just next year we're talking about the next 100 years. And in order to save an historic building, you need to do more than just shore it up structurally. what we are creating is operational versatility for this historic structure. We're building out the infrastructure on the storefronts underneath to be able to sustain and be versatile and create food events inside the theater, dedicated bourbon bar on the corner that's open before and after shows for that halo effect, it's called, that I saw at Motor across the street from Woodward Theater after events in Cincinnati. So it's a smart usage, it's a smart build that shores it up structurally for the next 100 years and operationally for the next 100 years. You know, you go to a bank for a loan, they look at something like this and they'll scream single use. And they're right. And if we just build it out to be a theater, that is a niche usage that, you know, you got to be pretty specialized and savvy, and luckily I am, to operate a theater alone. But we're building out the components in this that it could do all kinds of things on any given night and work with it within itself. And it just makes it really strong as outsiders look at it in financing and or other users. It's very versatile and could do all kinds of things for you well deep into the future. Something to consider.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dan?
Too much of that?
What kind of questions you guys got?
I'm just thinking numbers. I mean, all right, so you bought the building, so that's free and clear. So they don't have to pay that money back, correct? On the loan, right?
That's correct.
It's not even in the loan. The 600,000 is not in the loan either.
That's correct.
Okay. So,
Right now, it's a $2 million payback.
but it could possibly be more if you have to put more into it.
He's asking to keep the terms for Dan the same, but allow the redevelopment commission
To
pay
come
the
up with
gap.
the difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one way, and I'm sure there's, you know, we can, you know, if we want to get into the contract discussion, I don't think we can do that here, but, yeah, that,
Well, I would
Yeah.
like to see the numbers that you guys spoke of again that weren't in front of us. That you were saying we had in the non-redevelopment.
Yep.
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That, again, I ask you out
Yeah.
front, you know.
Well, yeah, and I mean, at you know, I'm not asking for a vote. At this, you know, this is an up-down, and this
I
is,
need numbers
yeah.
to look at.
I get them right here. I'll hand them
That's
to you.
fair. Well, that's
Yeah.
why we
Yeah.
asked Brittany to come and thank you.
Yeah.
Brittany. We were, Brian and I were talking here today just to try to understand.
I think everybody's pretty ecstatic about the fact that Liberty Theater's come about.
Oh, yeah.
But this city has a lot of projects going on.
Yes, it does.
You're aware of that.
Well, I am.
I know you.
And listen, Betty and I and Brittany have been working with Reedy and figuring out the best way forward for the projects that we got in hand. We're gonna be sharing with you the timing of projects, because some projects aren't gonna be started until next year. You'll have a couple that'll be this year, so, you know, it's gonna be spread out. But we'll be able to come to you with a plan of, okay, is there a part we want to bond and a part that we pay cash? We've got some stuff in our,
I don't like the word. That's fine. I get it. I get it.
well, we are, because you know what, we're here in Lawrenceburg, yeah, we could pay cash and not hurt us at all. But you talk to any financial people, there is such thing as good debt.
You
And-
mentioned that before.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to swallow that as well because, yeah, but you're right, Tommy. We got a lot of stuff on the plate, and we'll have to figure all that out going forward. I think that, my opinion is that we need to see numbers. I mean, we need to see what the final numbers are gonna be.
Yep.
And then make a determination. And Dan, I think you've been through this process with us all the way, you and Cressy, and we may have to look at that development agreement, and it may have to be changed a little bit. But, you know, our bottom, I think we all agreed from the very beginning, what we want to make sure is that it's successful from going forward, right? You know, after the first, 5 years we own it or whatever, and 5 to 7, and then, you know, when Dan and Chrissy take it over, we want to make sure that it's successful after that as well. So, we gotta figure it out, but I don't think we can figure much out if we don't have good numbers. We were talking yesterday, you know, we're talking about the 6 Veritas projects, that, you know, and you guys be getting those updates, but yesterday's meeting, and I think Jeff said it best. I mean, right now, I mean, things are high, but he is seeing some softening in things. Who knows what 2024 is going to bring? But also, I think it comes down to multiple bidders, right? That, you know, and the more projects that get bid out in the off-season, we probably have a better shot at getting some lower bids. You know, whatever that is. We're not talking 30, 40% lower, but maybe 10 or 20. I don't know. So I think we're, you know, I think we got 3 members of redevelopment. You don't count, Lenny. Brian, you and Richard, I mean, what's been the redevelopment's take?
I think it's a great project. I think that we can't short it. I think cutting some of the things that they're wanting to, you know, potentially cut out might be detrimental to the project's success. And like you said, we all agreed from the very beginning we wanted it to be successful. I don't think anybody wants to see it fail.
Absolutely.
That's probably the general consensus. Richard and Lenny, they can speak as well.
No, I think that's 100% the way that we feel about it. I support everything Brian said and the other Brian said, both Brians. I thought they did a good job and had a good presentation. It's what Dan is going to bring to the city of Lawrenceburg with the Liberty Theater. You've got a lot of value added there. The Liberty Theater itself and what he's going to create there, and then his institutional knowledge that he brings to the table that we don't, you know, just to redo the theater by itself, what would we have? Nothing, but we've got this guy that has a mind for what he's doing and has done this before. You know, he's created these things. If we give him the standard that he needs to succeed, I 100% am behind him and the project and all of it, because I do believe it will succeed. It will be a success story that they'll talk about for, as you said, 100 years to come. It will change the face of the downtown area. And what it provides to, I know I've said this before, and I don't mean it in a detrimental way or derogatory way, but for people more in my age group, perhaps, and more in my taste.
Yeah, you do mean that derogatory. You said that before, and we told you.
I know, and I tried to soften it up this time, but what it provides, you know, as far as entertainment and whatnot, you know, it's an opportunity for things like tonight. You know, I'm going to go see a show in Cincinnati. Hot Tuna's in town, so I'm going to go check Hot Tuna.
Is that something you eat? No?
Is that like anything like hot
asking.
yoga?
Jefferson Airplane.
Jefferson Airplane. I know Jefferson Airplane.
Anyway, but I'm going to go see them tonight. But, you know, just music like that, I think that's some of the stuff that Dan could utilize that space for. I think he's going to do that. He's got those contacts. He's got that in his back pocket. So, I mean, I can't speak highly enough about the project, and giving him that standard that he needs, I think, is vitally important.
Good.
I'll agree with what Brian said too early on in that conversation. I don't foresee anywhere where you could really cut into this and try to take anything out. And as Dan stated, if you do that, then you're just going to cut things that you cannot do. If you feel there's money in the non-reverted redevelopment and we can work something, I think we're better off trying to do that. Keep it as a whole, as you've dreamt from the beginning. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good point.
Yeah, we really, this could be a gem. in this
Gym,
area.
like gymnasium?
Like gymnasium, yes. And it could be a very big talk piece here in this town. And we've all talked about it, and cutting it short or cutting it down, we just water it down a little bit to where it just be, well, you got this Liberty in Lawrenceburg, to where they would say, you've got something down here,
Yep.
and everybody want to come and see it. And my stepdad, he played professional music, so I kind of know a little bit about this, and I'm very excited about it. I was always, Dale knows I played a little bit too, but I've always been excited about that going in. I think it'd be a big, especially the mayor might be right across the street from you. We're gonna have to move you on the other side of the building, or they can't be living with you every day.
After What about Brett and Justin? What do you guys think?
I think it's a good project. I just, at some point, you know, the numbers, you know, talk, you know, and at what point does it not become feasible or irresponsible? But, I mean, I think the overall project, I agree with. I think it's gonna be an amazing asset to the community. I think it has potential to, for the long haul, you know, even if Dan in 10 years decides to retire, or, you know, someone else comes along, I mean, it's gonna be an asset there regardless with, you know, so it's, you know. But it's gonna be interesting to see some final numbers though, and just the reality. I mean, where's the limit? Is there a limit?
Limit.
Yeah.
Because I would venture to say if we thought, you know, 2 years ago, if we saw a $4.5 million number, you know, I'm not sure if that building would have been acquired at that time, you know, so.
Correct.
That's what it all revolves on. It's around numbers, and we're sitting here talking. I mean, we got ideas, but until we get the real numbers and know what we're gonna deal with, it's kind of hard to sit here and make a decision of any kind.
Well, but you guys did a really smart thing by setting this project up as a CMC. And one of the reasons we're here having this uncomfortable conversation is the very purpose of a CMC style project, is to have these hard talks. And Brian Johnson and I did this for the school, where, you know, we would go in and have these difficult discussions, but, you know, if it's design build, then Maxwell's not here, you know, until later in the project, right? And then we're just seeing what the bids are, where here they're giving it, and these estimates are conservative because it's CMC, so then they have to give a guaranteed maximum price. So it's good to have the tough talks now, rather than, okay, we'll bid it out and then say, oh wow, we weren't prepared for that.
Sticker shock.
Yeah, so you guys did a great job in setting this up, and now we've got the best people in the room and doing it now rather than later.
Well, I mean, Brett, you got anything?
No. But it's been hit. I've never shared or never had a shadow of doubt in the product, in the game, or in Dan himself. Just numbers, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when we get to the point where we have real numbers, then we'll have to have those discussions on, you know, where we go with that. But what I'm going to say is, I mean, the Liberty Theater, it's going to be a 12-month venue. Okay, right now, we have a 6-month venue outside, right? And where we have a lot of activity downtown, we have people coming to downtown. It's becoming that destination, so to speak. This is going to be an opportunity in the cold months, and the summer months, but in the cold months, to even have more sustainability for our small businesses and things like that downtown. I mean, take a look at people's property values downtown, at what's happened over the last few years. Things like this do nothing but increase them, which increases tax revenue and things. The intangibles is what it's hard to figure out. The true economic impact. We did it when we did Flaherty and Collins, right? And obviously the payback on that, from what we hear from the third-party accountants, is gonna be quicker than what we had thought, okay? You can look at this project or any of the other projects we're doing the same way. It's those intangible economic impact numbers that are very hard for us to quantify, but it is quantifiable, if I can say it that way. But, you know, we just gotta know. And I think you guys are all thinking in the right direction. What's best for the future of Lawrenceburg for the next 50, 100 years, right? When Richard's still here, and according to him, I won't be. But, I don't know. I think we all have been 100% behind the project, and that's what I hear from everybody today, both from the RDC and from council. I think we just, personally, I think we keep moving forward to get to the point where we have some solid numbers. Anybody disagree with that? Anybody out there want to speak?
Brought you all the way out here, you didn't say anything.
I'll say something if you want me to.
Brian, I don't have anything else unless you do.
No, I appreciate it. This is where I wanted to get. I wanted everybody to level up understanding. Everybody know where we're at. We're partners on this project. We were partners from getting in on it. So it was the appropriate time. We're getting to finalize the bid documents. So, you know, and you know, trying to not knowing in a consensus way where our heads were all at it, you know, it really kind of was dragging us down a little bit on some of these, on how to continue. So
One other thing I want to mention, we're not done looking at other grant opportunities either.
No.
I've got a meeting with Okra to discuss nothing but the Liberty Theater as well. So there might be some other opportunities to help bridge that gap.
I mean, we already approached Indiana Landmarks as well.
Thank you. We have on that, didn't we? Yeah, we did. But Okra, the director up there, he's getting me a meeting date. So.
no, and I just brought backup, and they're still here.
Well, they haven't run out on us yet. Okay, any other
Appreciate your time.
questions? If not, I want to thank everybody for their time and coming out and getting updates and discussing this. And I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Keep up the good work.
Oh.